Hello there, I'm back to do another book chat, and this is about Carl Hiaasen's Lucky You. This one isn't available on Overdrive, I'm afraid, but there are other books by Carl Hiaasen on there, and he also does books for younger readers, not really young readers, but more teenage. I've read a couple of these as well, one called Scat, I think, and another one called Hoot, about miniature owls that lived in burrows. Because there's a bit of a theme to most of his writing, and he is very much into talking about the way ecology is going, the way that the natural world is being treated, and it makes for an interesting background to what are essentially sort of crime novels. Anyway, this one, Lucky You, is actually it's another funny one. They're crime, but they're funny. It's set in Florida. There's a woman who buys a lotto ticket, and there's two winners, herself and another pair of gents who are actually criminals. And they're very greedy and decide that they're going to try and track her down, get her ticket back so they can have the full 28 million to themselves. Now, along comes a journalist to do a sort of puff piece on the winning woman who's called Luck, so there's lots of play on luck, lucky, and all the rest of it. And he ends up helping her track these men down, or trying to track the men down, because she's actually very interested in saving snapping turtles and wants to buy a big piece of the Florida Keys to set up a nature reserve. As I say, Carl Hiaasen, a lot of his books are along those kind of themes about political corruption, about the way that the land is being despoiled, and various other things that he writes about as a journalist, because he's also a journalist. So he's an investigative journalist. So I think his interests bleed over into his novels. Having said that, they're usually quite funny. They're often quite violent, but they're a good read. They're a proper page turner. So if you want something that's fairly easy to read and makes you want to keep reading it, because there's lots of exciting things going on. There's weird characters, there's wacky characters. The very first one I read had an ex-governor in called Skink, who was convinced that the government was trying to track him, and in the end it turns out they were trying to find him, but anyway, that's another story. So if you think that you would be interested in something that Carl Hiaasen writes, you can try them on Overdrive now. The three on there for adults are actually written with another author who's also a journalist, and they're more not set in America as much as they're kind of world crime, but again it's to do with corruption, drug smuggling, etc. So they're really good books in their own right. So if you want to give them a try, please do. Let me know how you get on. Thank you.